It was a sunny morning. Relishing the warm breeze, I felt it would be a wonderful day. However, my prediction turned out. This is a disaster. Someone has broken into the Grand Cathedral and currently being fought against. A novice holy knights and barged in, panicked. My prediction was way off. Calm down. How many men do the enemies have? How many casualties have we sustained? Hinata was having breakfast with me. Her reaction was extraordinarily calm. Seeing her like this made me realize again that it'd be horrifying going against her. Yes, ma'am. Enemy numbers are unknown, however, it's certain that it is close to 100 men. They're at least as strong as rank B+. Seeing how they were acting, they know the layout of our nation very well. Nearly 100 B+ rank soldiers were a force to be reckoned with. He also mentioned that they were familiar with the layout of the city. They were most likely Granbell's men. Regarding casualties, several novice knights were injured. There have been several deaths and wounded among the Pope's imperial guards. Fortunately, no civilians have been harmed. The envoy answered swiftly, describing heavy losses. Had this happened in my nation, I would have lost my mind, again. But since I was a guest here, it would be best that I stayed out of other people's business. That sounded quite cold, but this wasn't my country to run. Is that so? Then our enemy must be the head of the 7 luminaries, Sun Priest Gran and the Rosso family under his command. We must not underestimate these enemies. I'm sure their combat strength is far greater than they let on. Inform the Holy Knights awaiting orders to prepare for a full-scale assault. The enemies reportedly sustained a number of casualties too, a lot more than Lubelius. However, Hinata did not dare lower her guard. That's the Hinata I know, I thought to myself, and impressed as I was, I asked the burning question that was on my mind this whole time. By the way, you mentioned it happened in the Grand Cathedral. Is it the place where we set up all the instruments? If that were the case, we would have a big problem. Yesterday, the band members set up their instruments at this Grand Cathedral and did a rehearsal. I figured that there weren't exactly a lot of Grand Cathedrals in the nation, so I had a bad feeling about this. And yet it was in times like these that my prediction. There's no other facility called the Grand Cathedral except for that. Tended to come true. I mean, it was infallible. How annoying, I thought to myself as I turned to Diablo. His smile was unfazed, indicating no problem to me. Diablo seemed to be contacting Venom through telepathy net as soon as the envoy had arrived. Truly competent in every sense of the word. Venom's response was perfectly prompt as well. The members of the band were already inside the Grand Cathedral. However, the defenses around them were flawless. No suspicious individuals had been able to approach them, and they carried on their final rehearsal, as planned. With all hell breaking loose around them, those guys sure are bold. Kufufufufu, that's only natural. If they couldn't even handle something this trivial, they wouldn't be qualified to be my subordinates. This man's confidence was something I could only hope to attain. Never mind that, let's not idle here and head to the Grand Cathedral at once, I said with a pretentious air. I opened a portal to the cathedral using spatial domination. I had gotten pretty good at using it, so even when I was here inside Lubelius, which was protected by a holy barrier, I could still use it without a hitch. It was probably because they didn't put up barriers that would prevent teleportation inside. Phew, I don't even have the energy to mock you anymore, just take me there too, Hinata-san said, looking exhausted. Why are you so tired this early in the morning? Although I felt like I'd get scolded for saying so, possibly even considered a creep, so I decided to just keep quiet. I wanted to make strides in improving myself too and outlive the days of being called an airhead. A man named Nicolaus came along as well. The fact that he was preparing breakfast for us led me to believe that he was a servant at first. As it turned out, he was the High Cardinal of the Western Holy Church. He was wearing some sort of a high-class robe beneath his apron, so this guy was legit. But why was such a big shot character serving Hinata? I felt that there were more and more mysteries as we spoke. But they probably weren't that important. The children were in the Grand Cathedral as well. They were very energetic this morning, so I let them go first. Even though the defenses were thorough, this world was full of surprises, and I had no way to predict what might happen. I adjusted my mood a bit and headed to the Grand Cathedral in a hurry. The cacophony of intense fights could be heard outside when I arrived in the Grand Cathedral, and quickly spotted the frightened band members. At that moment, Shion raised her voice and shouted. Don't worry. Have you all forgotten what Rimuru-sama said? He said he would guarantee your safety, that you shouldn't worry and should just focus on your performance. Didn't Rimuru-sama say that? Yet you guys are not continuing your practice. How is that fair? Can't you cut them some slack? Shion-san, have you not realized this is a battlefield? Telling the non-combatant members of the band to not be afraid, no matter how I see it, that's too harsh. Shion-sama, my apologies, looks like I was panicking a bit. Tact, after being scolded by Shion, regained his composure out of nowhere. He turned his eyes to the band members and raised his conductor baton. They seemed to have noticed my presence as their eyes found me. Not sure if that was the reason or not, but the band members were seemingly at ease and calm again. There were even smiles on everyone's faces. Then let's get back to practice. It looked like Tact wasn't worried at all whether the other members would object or not. He began to practice again. The rest of the members followed almost as if nothing had happened. And then, with fine coordination, beautiful notes of music began to fill the air. It was a powerful and intense performance which overshadowed even the sound of the fighting. I couldn't help but feel proud of the band members. Fighting with a score in the background. It almost felt like a stage drama. But it went without saying that this was authentic combat. I found the children and told them not to run around. You have me here, Rinsu. Kumara was filled with fighting spirit, but I told her to calm down. Right now, Kumara only had one tail, so she was by herself. She was just like the kids. It was too soon for them to engage in actual combat. I ordered Xian and Diablo to protect the children together. What does Rimuru-sama plan to do? Me? I'm gonna get rid of the troublemakers. Hinata and her men seem to be fighting against the guys behind all the plots, so I'm going to help kick them out. Even though we were guests here and shouldn't intervene, seeing how hard-working the band was, I wish to ensure the success of the concert tomorrow. Understood. Xian looked at Diablo in shock. Second Secretary, what happened? You actually obeyed Rimuru-sama's order, that's surprising. I'm quite surprised myself. I thought Diablo would say that he was coming with me. That said, this would be better since it would avoid spreading the commotion. I'll be counting on you guys here then. Very well, may you triumph in battle, Diablo cheered. Xian seemed to want to object, but wasn't able to say anything in front of Diablo's face. Seeing this as an opportunity, I turned a blind eye and headed straight into the battlefield. The fighting was chaotic at the entrance of the Grand Cathedral. The entire gate was wrecked with nothing left. There were over 100 people fighting. The most eye-catching part of the fight was the person that Hinata was confronting. It was an old grandpa, yet his back was ramrod straight and maintained a beautiful stance. He was wearing what seemed to be a very fancy suit. His eyes were sharp and had an aura that showed he was no average person. He was neither monster nor human. Seeing the dominating aura coming off him, I could tell he bore unusual power. Who is that man? Granbell Rosso. That old man is the head of the 5 great elders, leader of the Rosso family. So that's who he is. I suddenly realized upon hearing the explanation. Maria, go find Luminous-sama and bring her here. If she resists, it's fine to kill her. In response to Granbell's words, a woman came out. Her appearance was reminiscent of Mariabell, a woman in her prime. The two seemed to be related by blood, but I'm not sure whether they were mother and daughter. Answer. Based on genetic analysis, there is no evidence of them being blood-related. How can you tell that just by looking? Never mind. If it were coincidence that she looks so much like Mariabell, the problem would be how strong this woman called Maria was. She didn't look strong enough to fight against Luminous. Was Granbell serious with his command? Understood. Executing order. This woman called Maria didn't even turn her head at us before leaving straight away. Her reaction was very robotic, and it was obvious that she was different from a normal human being. I wasn't sure whether she really was as strong as it seemed, but I figured Luminous would be the one to test that. I just wanted Granbell to leave soon. If we could end this with just a conversation, then it'd be fine. But if I couldn't convince him, I'd take care of him quickly. Granbell-san, nice to meet you, I am Demon Lord Rimuru. You gotta start a conversation with a greeting. It was hard to build a good relationship at this point, but I still approached in a friendly tone. So you are Demon Lord Rimuru. How dare you kill my Mariabell? Oi, it was you guys who... I see. I was indeed getting flack as well. But Mariabell's death was purely an accident, and it didn't seem right to blame it on me. Yet if I told him that I didn't mean to kill Mariabell, it would probably sound like an excuse. To be fair, had Mariabell not picked on me, it would never have happened. With that being said, Granbell probably wouldn't hear me out. Yuki likely already got to him. At this point, I knew the guy was deceitful, so I could imagine what he would say about me. This was no time for us to negotiate and make peace. Report. Deduce that either way, the two sides are incompatible. Alright, that was the case. Mariabell was one such example, and I thought this Granbell would be hard to coexist with as well. If that was the case, then I could only use strength to make him yield. Will it even work trying to explain this to you? Let's use strength to decide which side is right. Kukuku, you talk tough. But by the looks of it, you are nothing more than a newbie demon lord. Do you think you can win against me? I'll take care of you later, meanwhile just stay put there and watch your friends get beaten down. Did he seriously just call me a newbie demon lord? Wasn't he Luminous' subordinate? This man had quite the ego. Right, I supposed he had a point. A monster's strength varied depending on the amount of time they had lived, but shouldn't you at least be a bit cautious against a demon lord? I guess this grandpa was a lot more conceited than I expected. Some people ran out to challenge Granbell. There is no need for Hinata-sama and Demon Lord Rimuru to strike. Head Priest Gran, we shall be your opponents, Nicolaus shouted. Wasn't he some big shot higher up? Ah, now I remember. Cardinal Nicolaus was the one who set the trap to capture Granbell and used disintegration on him. No wonder why he was self-assured. Someone responded to Nicolaus's call. It was the 3 captains of the Holy Knight Order. They were Vice Commander Leonard, Captain Arnaud, and Ritus. Fritz and Bacchus were currently away, training in the labyrinth. Had I known that something like this would happen, I forgot that I wasn't one to be dishing out judgment here. Hinata-sama, please sit tight and watch me in action. With Nicolaus's order, Leonard sprang into action. In addition, Arnaud and Ritus began assaulting Granbell at the same time, with the 3 captains buying time for Nicolaus to cast a deadly disintegration. This attack plan seemed a bit over the top, but that probably just meant that Nicolaus was on maximum alert against Granbell. Leonard was using his elegant sword arts to distract Granbell. Arnaud understood right away and cooperated with Leonard's strikes. Ritus was on the side, providing support for the 2.